Hello, everyone. Hello. I am so excited to be here today. We all know what this day represents, Juneteenth. But I'm super excited to have a conversation with this next young lady, this beautiful sister who trails from Omaha, Nebraska, which is where my father, Malcolm X, was born on May 19th, 1925. Her name is JoAnna Leflore-Ejike. And can I tell you, this young lady is just everything. And it is the reason that my father was finally inducted into the Omaha, Nebraska Hall of Fame. So welcome, beautiful sister. How are you doing today?
Hello, thank you, Dr. Shabazz. I am excited and grateful to be here today. And yes, this is an important day in history, Juneteenth Day, obviously. And I'm even more just grateful that I can be a part of the journey to share with the world about, the Nebraska Hall of Fame process that we went through. And it's overdue. Brother Malcolm deserves this recognition.
He certainly does. So, when we just think about American history, right? Or world history.
Mhm.
When we teach our students world history, it doesn't begin in Africa.
Yeah, the world history starts there in the motherland, and that's what we have to promote. And even when we talk about Malcolm X, we have to start with the source and talk about where he was born, and that it was not an accident there that he was born in Omaha. So I really appreciate you saying that. And this is really why Juneteenth is kind of one of those days too, where we have to talk about the source of the information. So your curriculum is going to be super important as we move forward and talking about what's going on in Omaha and even here how we talk about Malcolm X. It's not in the textbooks like it should be. And so when we cross the path of getting into the Nebraska Hall of Fame, that's going to allow a lot of educators and community groups to start from the source of where Malcolm was born. And sometimes we have to talk about the history that troubles us to get to the importance of what we're learning about.
So, how did we meet? When did we first meet?
Yeah, so when we found out that we got Malcolm inducted into the Hall of Fame, I was excited to reach out to you, and I found you on Instagram. You're very very engaged on there, so we're always watching and learning from you that way. And I share the news, and the important part about the Hall of Fame process is that we have to engage with the family members of the people who are nominated. And I was just grateful that you responded. And I said, hey, we need to have a talk because, we got Brother Malcolm inducted. And, it's a long overdue story. In a nutshell, it took 30 years. We
And
tried, yes, ma'am, we tried 3 times, took 30 years.
30 years. And, this is not just to celebrate or illuminate the life of Malcolm X. It's to celebrate and illuminate the legacy of indigenous people, of Black people, of others, building connections and
Mhm.
fostering relationships within the community. This is what I really love, that social media is giving us an opportunity, that here I am in New York and there you are in Omaha, Nebraska. I really want to say, turn your camera around and let us see what it looks like. But we're going to
Oh.
do that on one of our next connections. I'm going to show you where I am and what New York is looking like, and you're going to show us where you are and what Omaha, Nebraska is looking like, so that we can really connect.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So now you were just here for May 19th for my father's birthday, and we gave you a Vanguard Award, and you didn't know you were getting one.
I had no idea. Yeah, I just wanted to be in the room and make those connections you mentioned. So I always knew that the Malcolm X Foundation here in Omaha should be connecting with the Shabazz Center. So I made plans to visit. And then 2 days before I got on the plane, I found out.
Yes, you did. You found out you were a worthy recipient. And, what's so beautiful about these events that we have at the Shabazz Center is it gives the village, an opportunity to come together,
Mm-hmm.
individuals to come together and be a part of a village and understand, the necessity of it. But we know that African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, we build villages at the Shabazz Center. We support social movements. We lead intergenerational discussions and dialogue and relationships so that we can continue this work.
I love that so much, and I felt that when I was in the room. So the connections are still strong from the people that I was able to meet, the other Vanguard awardees, well-deserving, and that's something that has transitioned into what we're doing now. We've been able to position ourselves to have more conversations so that I can come back to New York and build with the Shabazz Center.
I know that you just recently, received great news. Do you want to share with us?
Yes. So of course the Hall of Fame is great news, and that's a year-long process that Dr. Shabazz, I'm glad you'll be a part of. But in that same lane, at the same time, we just got word that the Malcolm X Foundation will be a line item in the Nebraska state budget to finally develop the property and make sure that that 17 acres around Malcolm's birth site is a welcoming place for the entire world. So we got $20 million awarded for the historic landmark at the Malcolm X Foundation in Omaha. So that's fresh news. It just happened last week.
Can you explain the legislative process and the role of LB 531 in securing the funding?
Yes, so LB 531 stemmed from LB 1024, and essentially that money was allocated from the Recovery Act funds. And so those funds came through the pipeline, and this legislative session, it was presented as a bill LB 531 from Senator Terrell McKinney and Senator Justin Wayne. And so there was a series, yes, thank you to them. It was a series of town halls and processes for applying for the funds. And that led to some recommendations originally that were made, and we weren't on the list originally. And so that frustrated a lot of community members. And this is where I love to say that I'm from Omaha, because the people got behind the senators and said, hey, something's wrong with this legislation. We need to update it and make sure that the Malcolm X Foundation has their due respect in the state budget. So when that came down the pipeline, there was a couple rounds of voting in the state legislature, and then it finally passed. So there's a little bit of a process that I'm still learning about, but when we get ready to break ground, I look forward to sharing that development plan with everybody. And finally, we'll have an international destination for people to come visit.
Oh, that's great. Tell us, what is your Instagram or social media identity?
So the Malcolm X Foundation is on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter at Malcolm X Foundation. So you can be able to look us up that way. And we have a lot of community volunteers that we share all the work that we're doing as a community there. And thankfully, when I tag team with Dr. Shabazz, we can build that up and build the momentum of what's to come.
So we encourage everyone to come and support the Malcolm X and Dr. Betty Shabazz Memorial and Educational Center, and also the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation in Nebraska. Thank you, JoAnna Leflore-Ejike, for joining us this beautiful day.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Juneteenth serves as a powerful reminder that the struggle for justice is ongoing. It would be great if we didn't have to fight for these challenges, but we know that we do. And so this is a call to action for us to continuously educate ourselves, advocate for change, and build bridges of understanding. Today, let us celebrate the achievements of those who came before us and recommit ourselves to the work of building a more just and inclusive society. Happy Juneteenth.
Happy Juneteenth.